Hi, welcome to the Talk Spot. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined by Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation. He's a senior writer there. Trevor, thank you for coming on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, so let's just get into it. What's the state of the Lakers right now?
The state of the Lakers right now is pretty much disarray and dysfunction. It's not pretty what's going on with the Lakers. Magic Johnson gone, Luke Walton gone, Rob Pelinka is somehow the last man standing. I don't think anybody would have predicted that, but right now it does appear like the Lakers are going to let Rob Pelinka try to fix things. And there's a lot of people that don't think that's the route they should be taking, but it does appear that that's what Jeannie Buss is going to do. And so Rob Pelinka has stepped into the void created when Magic Johnson left, and then he's going to be in charge of hiring a new coach and trying to set the team on the right path here this summer. And we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out because the results are going to tell us a lot. But yeah, it does look like they're going to be building around Rob Pelinka, and hopefully it all turns out okay, because right now it does seem pretty messy.
Are there any odds you think in your mind that Rob Pelinka actually does get fired? Let's say if they hire new president of basketball operations, is it possible that Rob could go, or do you think that's a very slim chance of happening?
Right after Magic left, I would have said it was a pretty strong chance of it happening. But now that some time has passed, and the fact that the team has Rob being the person that's actually going out and interviewing prospective coaches, and of course we've heard about Monty Williams and Ty Lue and Juwan Howard. The fact that it's Rob Pelinka that's conducting these, and Tanya Ganguly of the LA Times added in the pretty important description that he is the only one interviewing. He's not bringing in anybody else from the front office. It's just an interview with Rob. So the fact that he's in that position, that makes me think that there's very, very little chance now that they would actually get rid of him, and that they are all in with Rob.
So you mentioned those potential coaches that he's been meeting with or has met with. He's already met with Monty Williams. By the time this interview is live, he will have already met with Ty Lue. Now, there's definitely the string between all those different potential coaches is that they're somehow, connected to LeBron James by some varying degrees. Obviously Ty Lue coached him, Juwan Howard played with him and coached him, and what Monty Williams coached him on the Olympic team, right? So all three of them, Team USA, sorry. They're all connected to him to some degree. Do you think? Is Rob Pelinka, is he just looking for a LeBron guy? I guess, a guy that's connected to LeBron. Is that just the case, or are they really? I don't know how to describe it. Are they really doing an exhaustive search, or is it just LeBron said, I'm okay with one of these three guys. You can decide which of the three you want.
They've admitted in the past that LeBron has a say in things, that they do ask for his input when they're looking at free agents, when they're looking at trades, things like that. LeBron's got a say. He's not the deciding factor or anything like that. But so yeah, is it possible that they're just looking at guys that LeBron is okay with? Sure. He's definitely going to be a factor here, but you also need to look at, because look, I get it. When I hear those names, I'm kind of underwhelmed too. Right, those aren't names that jump out at me, and I think, oh, that guy's just a brilliant coach. He's the guy that's going to take the team to the next level. I don't feel like any of those names really bring that out. Not to say they're bad guys or anything like that, or they're bad coaches. They're just not that kind of. It's not a Greg Popovich. It's not a Rick Carlisle. It's not a Phil Jackson or somebody like that. So I think that's part of it too. Those guys aren't out there. So when you're looking at this list, these three guys, and you think, oh gosh, the only reason why they're even getting talked about or even getting interviews is because they're LeBron guys. I think part of it is there's just not that many marquee names out there that would really be interested in the Lakers coaching job at this point. So it's a little bit of all of that coming into play where, yeah, these are probably guys that LeBron signed off on, and that's important, but at the same time, there's not a ton of options either. So we kind of just have to hope that whoever they wind up with ends up being a good quality coach.
So let's say if they called you, if Jeannie Buss or I can't remember Kurt Rambis's wife's name, but
Linda
Rambis, who sounds like she's the second most important person on the team, or maybe third after LeBron. If they called you and they said, Trevor, who do you think we should interview for this job for coach? What are some names that you'd like to see? For example, for myself, I love to see, I might not say his name right, but the Ettore Messini, the assistant coach from
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
Spurs.
Messina, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that he has a Lakers connection and that you have to have Lakers connection in order to get a job with the Lakers. So I look at him and I think maybe that could be something. I don't know. What are some names that you like?
I definitely think Ty Lue merits an interview. He won a championship running a LeBron James led team, and as much as you can say, "Oh, it's because they played in the weak East and because they have LeBron," yeah, hey, that's all true. But he still accomplished that. He got that done. I think he's definitely one to interview. Monty Williams as well, because look, at whoever you bring in as a coach, you've got to be able to sell to free agents this summer. You've got to bring in somebody because right now the perception around the league is that the Lakers are a mess. So you need to bring in a coach that players are going to want to play for. Monty Williams has that Team USA connection. He has a good relationship with a lot of players. So I think that matters too. That's something that that would be attractive to bringing in a guy like him. And of course, Juwan Howard's going to be well liked. I don't think they actually go with him because he'd be a first-time coach. So I'm fine with the three names that are there, but I would like to see an even wider net being cast. Not that I am big fans of theirs or anything, but Jason Kidd, Mark Jackson, why not? Why not throw in some other names and see what's out there? And like you said, maybe Messina, maybe you bring in an assistant coach from somewhere else, because at this point, the search really should be exhaustive. I mean, the Lakers have been criticized in the past for not conducting exhaustive searches and instead just staying within that Lakers family tree. That the time for that has come to an end. Now they need to really try to do what they can to find the very best. And I don't think you do that just interviewing three coaches. So I'm hoping that more names are indeed added to that list.
I mean, some of the names that I'd love to see. I mean, I'd love to see maybe Jay Wright get interviewed from Villanova, or another coach is somebody from the Bucks. I mean, I know no one really talks about the Bucks or cares about the Bucks, and I actually looked up their president of basketball operations earlier today. I couldn't find him. I mean, for goodness sakes, I have more stuff on the internet than this guy who's getting paid millions of dollars a year. I had to dig, and I could barely find anything about him. But the Bucks, I mean, if you look at them, I feel like that's a really well-run team this year. I think Mike Budenholzer has done a really good job. I feel like somebody that's coaching with him right now, I feel like should get a look at least. Now, granted, I know that, they might not have head coaching experience itself, but I mean, you look at a person like Nick Nurse this year. I mean, I think he's done a great job, Nick Nurse. Now, people could say, well, he had Kawhi Leonard and he had this great team already built. And that might be the case, but I don't know. I look at the Raptors this year and look at their first year head coach, and I feel like he's done a great job. I mean, Steve Kerr won a championship in his first year of being a head coach. Ty Lue did as well. I don't know. I would almost like to. I would almost prefer to see a person that I think we maybe haven't necessarily heard of than just bringing up these old names from the past. I feel like I know what you're saying is accurate, that Ty Lue did win a championship, went to 3 straight finals, but I don't know. I mean, watching some Cavaliers games, I don't know. I was never really blown away by his coaching.
Yeah, and the same can be said for Monty Williams and the Pelicans / Hornets, which I think they still were when he started coaching with them. But I think that the difference here with a guy like Nurse, like they were already bringing in Kawhi, they were doing that via trade. The Raptors didn't have to go and sell a free agent. So if you are bringing in a coach that is unheralded, somebody that if they don't have that gravity around the league, they're not that player or that coach that's going to bring in players, then I think it makes your job, as if you're assuming Rob Pelinka is running things, it makes his job that much more challenging when he's stepping into meetings with guys like Kawhi Leonard, Kevin Durant, or whoever, right? Any of these top guys that are out there, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, Jimmy Butler, the list goes on and on. So if he's stepping into that meeting in July and Magic Johnson's gone, and Magic is the guy that was supposed to close these players. Magic was the guy that you want. Look, he doesn't know the salary cap. He doesn't know the ins and outs of the NBA. He doesn't know how to play the game as far as relating with the media and not tampering and not saying too much and all of that. He wasn't good at that. What he is good at is sitting down and talking to people and selling them on Lakers basketball. I think nobody on earth can do it better aside from maybe Jerry West. So you don't have that guy anymore. So I think Rob Pelinka is going to need all the ammo he can get when he goes into those meetings. And that includes having a coach that players know, players respect, and players like. And maybe, you mentioned Jay Wright. Look, if you can go get a Coach K, if you could get somebody like that, if you're going to go to the college ranks and you're going to get somebody who's super well respected, that's fine. But that's where I would draw the line as far as bringing in a guy who's never had that head coaching experience, because they don't have the opportunity to have built up that following and that level of respect within the NBA I think that could end up being a detriment. Not that that means he's going to be a bad coach. Maybe you do find somebody who is an assistant and is ready to take over and ready to roll. I just don't know that that's the way the Lakers should go at this moment. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they wind up going with. That's for sure. No matter which direction they go.
So you mentioned Jerry West, and I listened earlier today. He did an interview with Dan Patrick, and they brought up the Lakers a little bit, and he didn't really say anything negative. Obviously, I mean, he's I guess too nice of a person to say anything negative, and obviously his son works for the Lakers, and I'm not sure. I feel like you guys probably had some articles about this a couple years ago. The idea of Jerry West coming back to the Lakers, and he wanted to come back to the Lakers. It sounded like. And I don't know who nixed that. I don't know if it was Genie or Magic or both, or I don't know what exactly happened. But how realistic do you think it actually is that Jerry West could come back to the Lakers in some form? Maybe he's not the president of basketball operations, but maybe like in the same exact role he has for the Clippers, but for the Lakers. Is that a realistic possibility, or you don't see that at all happening?
I don't see it happening just because he's in such a good role already with the Clippers. Look, it'd be great if it happens. If it does happen, I'll love it, right? But he's 81 next month, so that's he's not going to be the president of basketball operations. He's not going to be able to travel and do all those things. Not to say he's incapable of doing those things, but he's not going to want to do all of that kind of stuff. So you could bring him in as a consultant, which is the role he's in with the Clippers right now, and I think that would be huge for the Lakers if they could. I just don't see it happening. Years ago, yeah, I mean, Jeannie Buss said he's not needed. That's what it came down to. They said, look, he's not needed because we already have, at that time it was Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. All the roles are filled. We're good. And they said the same thing about Phil Jackson when he wanted to come back and get involved in the Lakers organization a few years before that. And I think that's a mistake, because I think that, in my mind anyway, the more smart basketball minds you get in a room, the better it is for your front office. And so I don't think the Lakers should be in the business of turning away talented executives, even if, aside from them being a legend in the franchise. But yeah, it does seem like he's pretty well fit in with the Clippers. And so I think he's probably going to stay there. If they can sway him somehow and bring him back home, bring him back to the Lakers, that would be wonderful. It would certainly be something to celebrate for Lakers fans. But as of this moment, it just doesn't seem like it's in the cards.
Now, I mean, this might sound like a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but just hang with me for a second here.
Okay.
If there was some kind of, we scratch your back, you scratch our back kind of a deal where they say to Jerry, okay, you come back to us, you work as a consultant for a while, and this will help your son Ryan. Maybe someday down the line, we'll make him the GM or something like that. Could you see something like that happening, or do they really? I mean, I don't really follow. I'm not an insider at all in basketball, so I don't really know if those kind of deals happen. But could that be something that could potentially sway Jerry West a little bit?
Well, you're talking about like a Colangelo situation with the 76ers, which happened a few years ago.
Yeah.
But I suppose it could. It's not really how the Lakers have operated recently. But it could, I suppose, if they said, look, Jerry, you come back, we're going to be elevating your son to whatever role you're going to put him in. Maybe, look, if Rob Pelinka becomes the president of basketball operations, maybe Ryan West becomes the new GM or something like that. I could see potentially, but I don't know that. And look, I don't know Jerry West personally, but I don't know that that's something that's going to sell him on joining the Lakers, or whether he figures, look, if my son is talented enough to be promoted to a job anyway, it shouldn't take him signing on in order to do that. That shouldn't be what propels him. But again, if it gets Jerry West back and it's something that he's interested in, look, and his son does a great job as it is, we've heard tons of positive things about him, then I'd be all for it. But I just don't know that I see it actually going down that way.
Do you foresee any names actually joining the Lakers front office? I mean, obviously there's been a lot of talk about Bob Myers, and I'm sure you definitely heard this earlier today when Colin Cowherd said that there is someone who's joined the front office, who's incognito. He's with the team in the playoffs right now, and he's directing Rob Pelinka in this coaching hire. I mean, I don't know. Colin Cowherd's a pretty big name to be saying something like that if it's 100% false, but that sounds, I mean, well, you guys, I mean, I look through, I search Lakers 10 times on Google a day and there's something new. This comes out. Who do you think it could be? I mean, does this sound like Cowherd's kind of too big of a name, I feel like, to just throw out something that's 100% false. So, I mean, what do you think of when you first heard that earlier today? What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I first heard it, look, I saw all the reactions on Twitter. I saw all the different people that were out there saying it's Colin Cowherd. Take it with a huge grain of salt. When I published the news feed today for Lakers Nation, that's what I said. I said, look, it's Colin Cowherd. Take it with a grain of salt. Don't just assume that this is true and factual. But at the same time, the way he said it kind of struck me, because it wasn't like he didn't leave himself an out. He didn't leave himself a, well, I've heard this may be what's happening. He says, I'm hearing this. I'm hearing that they've already agreed with somebody and they've already brought in this person that's, I'm paraphrasing here, but they've already brought in the person that's replacing Magic Johnson, and they are approving all of these things. And I mean, because he said it so definitively, like, it's going to come back on him if this doesn't end up being true. And then Ramona Shelburne was on ESPN radio not long after, basically saying that's not what I've heard at all, saying that she hasn't heard the Lakers have anybody lined up like that, and that they're just going with Rob. And that's what we've been hearing from every other source. I mean, Colin Cowherd is the only one that's been saying this. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this all shakes out. Of course, you can start looking at the teams that are in the playoffs and start projecting, like, okay, say Arn Tellem with the Detroit Pistons. Maybe he's an option. Maybe Sam Presti with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Maybe he was somebody.
I mean, you're right. I mean, when he said that somebody in the playoffs, my first thought was like, oh God, I hope it's not someone from the Orlando Magic, was my first thought. Because I was trying to think of the least, like the most underwhelming team in the playoffs. I guess you're right. Detroit would also be pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know. When I heard that, I was really taken back.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising. And I mean, hey, look, it's exciting because if this is true, if the Lakers really do have somebody that's replacing Magic Johnson and they've kept it quiet, I think that's somewhat significant, right? Like, this Lakers team, they couldn't keep anything quiet around the trade deadline, right? Mm-hmm. They had tons of leaks, and there were leaks coming from the Pelican side too, but there was all this information coming out about every detail of the trade talks for Anthony Davis, and it was a big problem with the team. And if they've pulled this off, if they've managed to not only to go to another team, to request permission to interview somebody or to talk to them about the job, offer that job, have that job be accepted, and now that person is pulling the strings unseen, if they've pulled that off over the last, week and a half here, that's pretty incredible. And I mean, you just have to give them some kudos for actually being able to get that done. It also makes me think it's probably not what's really happened, because again, that's a lot that they would have to have managed to sneak by everybody. But man, I'll be impressed if that's the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of talk where, Bob Myers said he laughed at the notion of joining the Lakers, and I feel like that article was really taken out of context, because I read the quote several times and I thought, I don't see where he directly says that. I mean, he said something about to the effect of, oh, I'm supposed to meet Jeannie at 2:00, and he chuckled, but and then the reporter said he laughed a laugh that suggested he's not joining the Lakers. And I thought, what kind of a laugh is that? Like, what exactly? I mean, granted, obviously I wasn't there, but I mean, Bob Myers, that sounds like, oh, that would be amazing. But I don't know. From everything that you guys are publishing, everything I'm seeing on Twitter and just online and all these articles I'm seeing, it just sounds like it's Rob Pelinka. I don't know. I mean,
it does. It really feels that way. I mean, we heard the night the Magic made his announcement. What did Jeannie do? She circled the wagons, which is what she's done historically, and she met with her brain trust, which was Rob Pelinka and Linda Rambis. I mean, she hasn't reached out to anyone else, and I think it's an issue of trust. I think that she's concerned about making sure that she's surrounded by people that she trusts completely, and Rob is one of those guys, since he was Kobe's agent, and she has a relationship with him already through that, and that's. I think that could be a problem. And I'm not the only one that's saying that. I think that could be a problem moving forward, because this Lakers front office, the Lakers family tree, it's getting pretty thin. There's not that many more people that you can really call upon to say, hey, come in and rescue the franchise. Come in and be our general manager. Come in and be our president of basketball operations. You need to be able to look outside of that. And I think it's going to take Jeannie being willing to branch out and do that. And hopefully she is. Hopefully that is something that will happen, and they're just trying to keep it quiet. But right now, that's not the way it sounds. Right now, it sounds like it's Rob Pelinka, and the ship's just going to keep moving forward. And yeah, Lakers fans can't be too happy with that.
Obviously, a lot of Lakers fans. I mean, for myself, I mean, I've been a Lakers fan for years, and I thought Rob Pelinka seemed like a fine person up until when Magic got fired, or not fired, when he quit, sorry. But yeah, now it just seems like the last week, I don't know, I feel like I don't really like Rob that much. But is there a case to be made for Rob Pelinka that he's actually not terrible? And I know, Magic and Rob got crucified for the Zubac trade, the Vika Zubac trade, and obviously that was a bad trade. I feel like it's kind of gotten a little blown out of proportion how bad of a trade it was. I mean, it's not like we traded Brandon Ingram for Mike Muscala. I mean, we traded a player in Zubac that, I mean, he's good. I would have preferred to have kept him, but I don't think it's the worst trade. It's not as bad as the James Harden trade. I know some people were making it out to be that way.
Well, it's the negative of it isn't just the quality of the player that's dealt. I mean, clearly the Lakers traded a higher quality player, a younger player, a cheaper player for Mike Muscala, right? Who's older, costs more, doesn't have as high of a ceiling, all those things. So that's bad. But then on top of that, you look who they're trading with. I mean, the narrative or the optics coming out of it is that they got fleeced by the Clippers, and the Clippers are a team that they're going to be competing with, not just in Los Angeles, but for free agents in July. So that's where it stings more than just the value of the players involved. But to your other question, yeah, look, it's not a 0% chance that Rob pulls this off. I mean, there is the chance that he does. Now, a lot of people around the league have said, oh, we're not big fans of Rob Pelinka because of this, and this, his past as an agent, all of these things. But it's possible that, look, these trades and the moves that were made last summer that didn't work out, that blew up in their faces, not going after shooting, it's not impossible that that's Magic Johnson, that was all Magic. And Rob has some different ideas, and Rob's going to take the team in a different direction, and he's going to lead them on the path to future championships. Like that is a possible outcome here. But even if that is what happened, do you really want the Lakers to just default to Rob Pelinka and say, okay, we're just sticking with him and not conduct that search and find out who's out there and see who you can get before just turning things over to Rob Pelinka? I think that's the problem. It's the process to a lot of people. But yes, Rob Pelinka has definitely taken a lot of shots over the last few weeks, and his stock has certainly dropped a ton. But like I said, it's entirely possible that he comes in and he runs things the right way, and things do turn around. It's just, I just wouldn't say it's likely.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, there is a possibility that, yeah, maybe he could be good. And I feel like, would I prefer Bob Myers? Oh, of course, over Rob. I mean, who wouldn't choose that? I mean, that's like, would you rather be given $1,000 or $1 million? I mean, obviously you're going to choose the $1 million every time, but I mean, I feel like if you look at Rob Pelinka and Magic, in my opinion, I think that they did a good job their first year. That 2017 draft, they got Lonzo, Kuzma, Hart. They traded for Brook Lopez. They traded for Brook Lopez. And, at the time, I feel like last season, if you looked at Kyle Kuzma, I would have said that he was a better player than D'Angelo Russell. I feel like in the 2017-2018 season, or at best comparable. I mean, now this season, Russell has gotten a lot better, but I still don't think that he's infinitely that much better than Kyle Kuzma, especially when you look at where Kyle Kuzma was drafted. But yeah, I mean, I feel like they did good last year, and then this year, kind of everything went to hell.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that most of the moves they've made, I haven't had a problem with. I didn't have a problem with the D'Angelo Russell thing because I thought, look, Brook Lopez is a legitimate good player in the NBA. At the time, he was a better player than D'Angelo Russell. You get Kyle Kuzma. Yes, you can argue they could have got him later in the draft with that next pick. They could have gotten Kyle Kuzma anyway. So yeah, that argument is out there. But look, they've done well in certain spots, and then where it all really got thrown off was this last summer. It seemed like every decision they made was disastrous to varying degrees. Well, except for JaVale McGee. I think JaVale McGee was fine. Veteran minimum, no problem with JaVale McGee. But everything else, every other non-LeBron move, letting Brook Lopez go sign a $3+ million deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, and he ends up being probably the bargain of the summer when he's the big piece that you get out of the D'Angelo Russell trade. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, look, that would have eased things for Lakers fans, right? This season, if you had Brook Lopez and he's spacing the floor for the Lakers and they're winning enough games to head towards the playoffs, even with these injuries, because Lopez is playing well enough and and they're doing well. Even if D'Angelo Russell is becoming an all-star, you can at least say, well, yeah, but look at the guy that we got. He's contributing to this team. Instead, you're watching D'Angelo Russell do great things for the Brooklyn Nets, and at the same time, you're saying, okay, what do we get for him? Kyle Kuzma, who is hot and cold, and then you've got Brook Lopez doing wonderful things for the Bucks. So that was kind of the double whammy here. It's the decisions they made this past summer that really took things off the rails, and hopefully they can fix it, because right now the margin for error this next summer is going to be pretty much zero. They've got to get everything right, and last summer they didn't. Last summer they got just about everything wrong.
So one last question before you go. I guess what would you say to Lakers Nation, I guess? What would you say to Laker fans that right now, they're seeing report after report that just, in my opinion, it's just, slamming and slamming. I mean, obviously you guys are reporting the truth. It's not like anybody's saying lies, but you just read report after report. And, even for myself, I mean, I text my good friend who, he cried the night that Kobe tore his Achilles because he knew, okay, Kobe's pretty much, he will never be Kobe again. Mm-hmm. And, I text him all the time, like, dude, look at this article and look at this. And, it's so much like not good news, right? Well, I guess what would you say to Laker fans out there that could reassure them? I guess what would you say to calm us down and say, hey, guys, I know you've seen all this and that, but really, bright days are in front of you. Like, what are some points of information that maybe people have kind of overlooked, or they don't see that, okay, like, even though things seem so bleak, really, we could potentially be competing for a title in a year or two from now?
So I actually just wrote about this for Lakers Nation. Yeah, so look, this was the season the Lakers were supposed to be back, right? According to Magic Johnson, they were supposed to be back. Playoffs were expected. LeBron James is coming in. There's all this excitement. Some mistakes were made over the summer, but everybody thought, okay, well, you lose Julius Randle, that sucks. You lose Brook Lopez, that's not good, but you got LeBron, that's going to fix everything. Then obviously things didn't work out at all. The injury bug was merciless. They had all these trade rumors and all these different things happen in order to create the perfect storm of a bad season. And it's easy to get lost in that, and easy to lose faith in a front office that does seem to be falling apart. There's no getting around that. Things are a mess. But even though things are a mess, the Lakers still have LeBron James, who is still one of the best players in the game. You look at his stat lines, and he put up numbers pretty comparable to what he's done every other year in his career. They still have tons of cap space. They have enough cap space to go sign a max player or do a lot of other things. There's plenty of things you can do with cap space. And they've got some talented young players. Brandon Ingram was a legitimate all-star level player right before he got hurt. He was playing at that high of a level. He was incredible. If he can hit that permanently, the Lakers are going to be in good shape. Lonzo Ball was playing the best basketball of his career before he got hurt. He was impacting games. Josh Hart played wonderful before his knee issues started flaring up, right? Kyle Kuzma had his moments. So as bad as the young guys kind of looked, or as negative as the narrative turned on the young guys, we have to remember just how good they are capable of being. So you add all that up, LeBron James, cap space, you've got talented young players. This can turn around quickly. The mistakes they made last summer are temporary ones, because you've got Rondo on a one-year deal, McGee's on a one-year, Lance Stevenson, all these guys, Michael Beasley, who's not even with the team. All these players are on one-year deals, which means now they've got the ability to sort of, to a degree, wipe the slate clean, start over, and try to fix things this summer. So, look, you land somebody, and this turns around very, very fast. You get a Kawhi Leonard, a Klay Thompson, somebody like that, they can change things very, very quickly. So just, I would say hang in there. Hang in there, because even though it's tough right now, come the middle of July, we may be singing a very, very different tune. It's just, you got to ride out the tough times in order to celebrate the good ones.
I mean, I feel like, to be honest with you, I feel like there might only be a couple teams in the league that are actually in a better position than the Lakers from a roster and salary standpoint. I mean, I'm laughing when I'm saying this because of the dysfunction, but from a roster and salary cap standpoint, there are really only a couple teams that are in better shape than the Lakers, really. I mean, if you think about it, would you rather have the Rockets roster, their team, their salary, their contracts? Would you rather have that, or would you rather have the Lakers, who, we'll have to see where the ping pong ball lands, but I wouldn't be shocked if we move up a couple spots from where we're projected to be at. But I mean, so you couple all those things together, like what you said. You got good young players. You got players on cheap contracts. I mean, what, Josh Hart and Kyle Kuzma are going to make what, $4 million put together next season?
Combined, yeah.
I mean, so you add up all that together and you say, how many rosters and, salary positions would you rather be in than the Lakers next season? I feel like there's not really that many more. You look at even like the Thunder, so the Thunder beat the Lakers this season and it seemed like Paul George made a good decision this season. But next season, I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have the Lakers roster than the Thunder roster right now.
Yeah,
at least going into the future.
For sure. Look, if you're Paul George and you're looking at the Thunder, if they get bounced out in the first round, and he could have come to the Lakers, could have played beside LeBron James, could have done all these things. I mean, look, with Paul George, the Lakers are a playoff team. I think they'd be right there with the Thunder as is at this moment. I think you can make a strong argument that he should have gone with the Lakers, but he's free to make his own decision, and he made the one that he made.
No, you're 100% right. All right, Trevor, well, definitely thank you so much for coming on. How can we follow all the work that you guys put out there, and how can we follow the stuff that you guys produce?
Sure. So you can follow Lakers Nation on Twitter at Lakers Nation. Same thing on Facebook. It's at Lakers Nation. And then you can follow us on Instagram at Lakers Nation Official. Check out our YouTube account too. That's been really going off lately. The Lakers Nation YouTube channel. And then you can follow me at Trevor_Lane on Twitter or at Trevor Lane NBA on Instagram.
All right, perfect. Yeah. Thank you again for coming on. And I'm sorry that it went a little longer than I had expected, but hopefully you'll come back on again soon and maybe things will be a little bit brighter at that time.
Let's hope so. Yeah, and thank you for having me.
No problem, Trevor. Well, take care.
All right, you too.